Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Fluent English Pro podcast. My name is David Perez, and on this episode, we have for you a piece of advice that is going to make your life so much easier. And this is sometimes it is okay to break the rules. And no, I am not saying you can do something that is going to break another person's heart or that is going to put you in jail. No, I'm speaking about the rules of the English language. Grammar rules, spelling rules, pronunciation rules, that kind of thing. So sometimes it is okay to break those rules either because you intentionally break them, because there is a context or an expression that allows for it, or maybe because you are still in the process of improving your English level and you still make some mistakes here and there. It happens to all of us, happens to me. I've been a teacher for a lot of time. I still make mistakes, so that's totally fine. Usually, the fear of making mistakes in English, either in work contexts or business contexts, or everyday situations, prevents us from communicating in this language. And that is not ideal. Because if we don't use the language, we are not going to improve. It is necessary that we make those mistakes, that we learn from those mistakes in order to become better and better. So even if you are afraid of those situations, just jump. Take the leap of faith and do it. A lot of people are not going to care because you're going to learn from that. And next time you're not going to repeat it, or it's going to be a less frequent situation. And you're going to see progress. And I am speaking particularly of situations where you are using oral language, speaking. I am not speaking necessarily about writing or reports. I'm speaking about speaking. And in this case, we have a balance that is fluency versus accuracy. Yes, fluency is how quickly you can talk. And I am not saying that you speak very, very fast. No, I'm saying, that you can speak at a natural speed. That is fluency. And the other part is accuracy. Accuracy is speaking correctly. Sometimes you can speak correctly, but you have to speak more slowly. And then if you speak faster, then maybe you are going to make some mistakes. This is normal. We want to have a balance. We want to have a balance between being fluent and being accurate. But when you are in a real communication scenario, you have to focus on fluency first, because you want to keep communication going. You don't want to stop every time to correct a mistake. You don't want to interrupt yourself. You don't want to stop the communication because you are afraid you made a mistake, or because maybe you said something that was not properly expressed, right? So in this case, what you do is you notice the mistake, but you carry on and you deliver the message. And I'm sure the other person is going to receive that message openly, and they are not going to care much, or they are not going to care at all about those little mistakes. So, when does breaking the rule work? When is it possible to break the rules? This is mainly in spoken language. I would like to insist. I'm not speaking about written language. I'm speaking mainly about spoken language. Yeah. And there are mistakes that are evident, but there are also mistakes that are not so evident, and mistakes that even native speakers might express, yes, unconsciously, because even in our native languages, there are some expressions that are not correct, and we still use them. We are native, and we still make mistakes. For example, if you say, oh, me and my friend went to a Congress last summer. Me and my friend went to a Congress last summer. That is perfectly understandable. The correct form will be, my friend and I went to a Congress last summer, yeah, or went to a boot camp last summer. But if you say, me and my friend went to a Congress last summer or went to a boot camp last summer, the other person will understand what you said. They will easily understand. Even though it's not like properly expressed, it is pretty clear and you can just get away with it and deliver your message easily. You can think about it afterwards, you can correct afterwards, but at the moment of having a real conversation, that message is going to be easily and clearly delivered. This, of course, applies depending on the context. I am not saying you can do this every time. I'm not saying you can do this everywhere. But in most situations, when it comes to speaking, speaking is very forgiving. Meaning, if you make mistakes, they disappear immediately because, like, those are words, and the word happened was a second ago and it disappeared. Yeah. So that helps a lot. That helps a lot. Of course, taking into account the context. If you are, and this is important, if you are performing a critical operation upon which the life of a person or the integrity of a structure depends, yeah, so that's different. You cannot make mistakes there. Yeah. But I'm sure you are not going to do surgery while speaking in English in 99.9% of the cases. Yeah. In most cases, it's going to be just like work interaction or business interactions. That's it. Now, when is not that okay to make mistakes? When is accuracy more important than fluency? So if fluency is more important when you're speaking, accuracy is a bit more important when you are writing. Because if speaking disappears in the air after you have finished expressing your ideas, writing stays. Writing remains there for a longer period of time. That email, that report, that article, that white paper is going to stay there for a long time, or maybe for a short time, but it's going to be there for some time. And then it is important that your ideas are formulated clearly. Yeah, this also applies to presentations. This also applies to document where you are doing negotiations or proposals. It's important that English is very, very clearly used there. What is the advantage? That in these type of documents, you have more time to correct and you have tools to correct. I have mentioned Grammarly, for example, in a few episodes. You cannot use Grammarly when you're speaking, but you can absolutely use Grammarly and other tools, spell check tools, artificial intelligence tools to correct your text. You can go back to it, adjust it before you submit it or before you hit send. So remember, striking a balance is essential. Yeah? Speaking fluently, speaking with confidence, while keeping in mind that you have to have good accuracy, but not letting accuracy get in the way of your speaking. It is a balance. One should not interrupt the other. You work on both at the same time. You improve. Making mistakes is part of the process, of course, but you work on both at the same time. In the case of speaking, and this is a strategy I use myself, is I listen to myself when I'm speaking. And I have no problem with correcting myself sometimes. When it's like very critical, I make sure to correct myself because I listen to what I just said, identified a mistake, and then corrected. But sometimes I just identify the mistake and I continue. But in a different moment, I'm going to go back to that mistake and rephrase it in the correct form. So sometimes you can easily listen to your ideas, identify those mistakes when you're speaking out loud, and correct on the spot if it's a critical situation, or correct afterwards. Actually, this even happens in your native language. So do not be afraid of correcting yourself. Don't be afraid to do it because you do it even in your native language. My native language, as I have mentioned before, is Spanish, and I do this even in Spanish. We make mistakes, silly mistakes, when we're speaking in our native language. That happens. So, what is the reason you shouldn't do it in English as well? It's just part of it. As long as this is not a situation that happens over and over again in a single situation, in a single conversation. Yeah. If It happens in a conversation, you do it once or twice, but the rest of the ideas need to continue flowing. The conversation has to be fluid. Good. In conclusion, do not fear. Do not fear. Don't be afraid of mistakes, because I guarantee 100% that you are going to make mistakes. They are inevitable. They are a part of the process. They are a part of your learning process. They are okay. You will observe them, you will identify them, and you will learn from them and make corrections along the way. Right? So, final tip, when speaking, prioritize fluency. Sometimes you can correct yourself as long as that doesn't interrupt the flow of the conversation. And when you are writing, prioritize accuracy. Use tools for correcting your spelling, grammar, sentence structure, etc. But overall, remember to always focus on both aspects of your English level at the same time. Fluency and accuracy. Look for a balance. All right, that's everything for the moment. I hope you liked this short episode. If you would like to learn more, please subscribe. We are on YouTube, we are on Apple Podcasts or iTunes, and we are on Spotify. If you like us on social media, just follow us there as well. But I think it's always better if you subscribe to the long format, the long video and the long audio, and not just to the short format on TikTok or Instagram. Like, we are there, but you are going to learn a lot more by listening to the long form content, the long video, the long audio. So subscribe now. Spotify, Apple Podcast, iTunes, and YouTube. That's all for now. Thank you very much, and see you on the next one. Goodbye.